Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick shout out, by the way, to everybody who joined us earlier today, playing some WWE 2K22 this weekend. We'll be putting up a bunch of that stuff as VOD over at the Friendo Club TV channel.
Question for you.
Yes, please.
Let's conduct some business here on air. Should we put this individual matches?
Oh, I don't know. It's something we can talk about.
And then just do a playlist of the whole thing?
We can mess around. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of this stuff, so we can play with different formats.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Another new channel. Just the wrestling video game stuff.
I'm down with that. It might please the algorithm. I don't know. I feel like this is a conversation we should have had in the pre-show.
Yeah, whatever.
Because Jeff Hardy's back, Larson. Doom, 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 doom.
And the theme
loaded.
They got
the
theme.
theme.
They got the Hardy Boys theme loaded. That blew my mind. I know Fightful Select had that thing about how they're going to try to get the theme, but for some reason I didn't make the connection between that and do. So when I hear that I knew Jeff Hardy was coming to AEW, not necessarily tonight, but I knew it was going to happen. And when it was set up where Matt Hardy was getting beat down, I was like, oh, okay, Jeff Hardy's coming now.
Yeah, right.
Didn't expect. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was surreal. It was honestly, it was super surreal. It was weird. Yeah, that was nuts. It was honestly, dude. You know, we talked about this in the pre-show. You, me, and the Enforcer were talking about it on text, and you said it right. They seem to treat, man. Tony Khan will take the good ideas that WWE specifically doesn't really execute to their fullest potential. The main roster call-up, which I guarantee you is going to be a staple going from the new Ring of Honor to AEW. It makes all the sense in the world. NXT 1.0, he took that because he's like, God, you have all these people. They should have a big stage. They should be on main roster type programming. Mm-hmm. He took that. Mm-hmm. And he takes the concept of the Raw After Mania, which should be a season, a new season. It should be a rebooting of storylines, fresh matchups, fresh stuff. And he gives it to us after every pay-per-view.
I know, 4 times a year I get that.
Massive debut. We had a title change.
We had a heel
turn.
Had
a heel turn. We had new stories. We had all sorts of stuff going on.
Yep. It was a packed episode of Dynamite, that's for sure. Jeff Hardy, I'm sure, can get most of the headlines. You know, he's a legend in this sport. It was darn nice to see him come out, save his brother, hear the theme. You know, and after they clear the ring, to see and Matt embrace in the ring. You know, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, they talk all the time. They do videos and stuff together.
They're always around each other.
So it's not like they've been away each other ever since Matt left WWE. But still, seeing them together in that moment, and I'm sure it means a lot to them.
Well, that moment specifically, you got to imagine like them having been wrestlers since they were like 12 years old or whatever. I think they debuted in WWE when they were like their first actual match. Weren't they like 17 or something?
Maybe.
When I think Matt first appeared on Raw in like 95 or something.
Oh, maybe.
They were super young. Like they had their own little wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
And that's where so much of their lives, the biggest moments of their lives. And so I imagine the fact that they get to embrace in the ring, on TV, in this place where they have so much freedom now and they're going to be appreciated has got to be a lot different than when they, go get some dinner together,
Yeah.
That's great to be, and all those people just losing their shit over it.
Yeah.
That's got to be an absolutely amazing experience. It's the best of pro wrestling, and you get to see that emotion with those guys. That's great.
And I think that was kind of like the hallmark of this particular episode of Dynamite is so much of the promos, the story beats, the moments felt genuine. Mm-hmm. You had Kingston's promo with Jericho. Everything that Kingston says feels genuine.
Yeah,
you have Regal come out to introduce himself and his new team of Mox and Danielson. and mentioning his battles with his own demons.
Yeah.
You know, and really putting over Bryan Danielson especially. All felt genuine. You could tell he thinks very highly of Bryan Danielson.
Absolutely.
You have Jeff and Matt's hug. So many little moments, so many large moments. This felt very genuine. And that's something that I really appreciate about AEW's programming. It's sort of like one of the reasons I enjoy NXT UK. All the characters seem genuine.
Yeah, their interactions seem very, very genuine. I mean, even Hangman saying, "Hey, Dante Martin, get back over here." They didn't have to do that.
Nope.
They did not have to do that. The goal of the company is to elevate everybody. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's how it should be done. It's something else, man. An absolutely stellar episode of AEW. We're gonna talk about NXT after our AEW review because. Of course, today we did this, and that might become, I don't know, that might become the new norm.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes. If this gets like to be an hour and a half and then wieldy, then we'll see. But we'll go from there.
Well, it just means we'll have to make sure the NXT review is a lot shorter.
Yeah, I guess so. Although I feel like there's quite a bit that happened in NXT this week.
You know, we're a podcast.
Oh, I know.
We're a podcast. We're supposed to go long. That's what we do.
We can also talk about, I know it's been teased for several weeks, Jericho, full-on heel turn. Apparently, Inner Circle, no more.
Yeah, went from a really cool name. Look, say what you about Inner Circle. It's a cool name.
It is a cool name.
It's a cool name.
And then it's funny to me that they, through thick and thin, they stood together and stayed together through the Pinnacle feud. And now Jericho gets his ego bruised and done. Which I guess is part of the story because his new faction is literally named Jericho Appreciation Society. It's all about him. I get that. Yeah. It's just funny to me that they went through this long feud with Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Jericho gets his ego bruised a little bit, implodes the whole faction.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's one way to put it for sure. I think there's a lot more when Santana and Ortiz talk about everything we did was in the service of you. Jericho is, as Eddie pointed out tonight, Jericho is a larger than life pro wrestling figure.
Oh yeah.
He is one of the most influential people ever. And so you got to figure he brings in people to the Inner Circle, makes them feel great, has them do through emotional manipulation. Hey, we're all family. We're all best buds. What he wants. And when Santana Ortiz are like, hey, we want a little piece of this pie. Whoa, buddy. Hold on a second. And then the real Jericho starts to come out. And I think that's the story that's being told.
Oh, yeah.
This heel turn. Is that it's all an emotional manipulation, whereas Eddie Kingston goes back. He is family with the ex-LAX guys, and so that's why they're like gravitating towards him because he's like a real guy as opposed to Jericho, who's like
who's a sports entertainer.
Exactly, the influencer, exactly. So yeah, I mean it's a pro wrestling trope, the heel turn. It's always fun to see. Yeah, it is the kind of thing you can see it a mile away. The best ones are when you don't see him coming.
Yeah.
Like the Seth Rollins one is a great one. The Festival of Friendship, even though like that was like so percolating. It's like, oh God, please no. And then he pulls out the list. What a
Jericho is just being like a complete 180 of what he's been the last 3 weeks in the beginning part of the segment. Where he's like, hey, Eddie, you were right. But then he also did say, you've awoken something in me. I still didn't know it was there.
Yeah. Well, he lost to Eddie. He lost to a guy who was upset. You imagine going through everything Jericho's gone through. He had to wear that health scare. He got himself in amazing shape. And then this scrub, a guy who he didn't even know, he thought it was Ed Edwards, beats him? That's more than a little bit of an ego bruise, man.
And then also we got a new TNT champion, Scorpio Sky, I believe on his third try, trying to win this belt.
I'm so glad you and I were on Zoom sort of during the waiting room, got to experience that together because I know you and I were both like, get this Sammy guy, man. Get this guy. Sammy Guevara put in what is it, 6:30?
Yeah, the 6:30. He
through the table?
He ate nothing. He just went
nothing but table, man.
That table doesn't break much.
He
just went right through table like and went right to floor. It was basically 6:30 to floor, and it sucked. It looked like it sucked.
If it wasn't for Ty Conti running out, I would have been, because they're not gonna. If this is real, she ain't gonna run out.
No.
If she hadn't done that, I would have been like, did he really fuck himself up? Because he was selling this really well.
And based on the looks of it, it would have been completely believable that he would really
Right?
jacked himself up. I know. 'cause
At
that
some
was a
point,
bad
you just
spot.
pray against this. You pray against it, but at some point, you're like, man, because it's always the margin of error is so thin with
I know.
Sammy Guevara. He's a really terrific wrestler.
He is a really good wrestler. That being
But you
said,
and I,
really
yeah, you and I
happy
are
Scorpio
huge
Sky.
fans of Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
And so this is awesome for him to get this, of course, Wrestling Society X, his own Scorpio Sky. He's been at this for 20 years. You and I were both on board him breaking away from SCU back in the day and going solo and getting gold. Took a little while, but he's there. This is great. So, of course, Wardlow next week, he's totally going to beat Scorpio Sky, right, Larson?
No, MJF is gonna cost him that title.
He's going to
1,000%.
kill him with that Dynamite
Now,
ring.
if Sammy had retained tonight, I'd say there's a decent chance, probably like a 50-50 chance that Wardlow could have won. But after Scorpio Sky winning the belt tonight, no, Wardlow's not going to happen.
The fact that MJF
Holy
did not.
shit.
What
So,
happened?
we're
What do we got?
39 minutes out of Dynamite. There's already 2 Jeff Hardy shirts on Shop AEW. There's already a Jericho Appreciation Society shirt.
I saw one of the Hardy shirts, literally, dude, 10 minutes after he appeared.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful one too. It's the purple and green one.
Yeah.
Well, they might both be, but there's just his
They
face.
both are. Well, one's
Just
him,
his
the other one's
face.
the Hardys.
Okay. I didn't see the Jericho
You
Appreciation
ain't missing
Society.
much.
It's ugly as shit. It's
It
got
is.
to be ugly.
It is. It's not a good shirt.
I got to see this one. But yeah, man, look, it's a t-shirt company. We all know that. That's one of their things. Even JR when they were coming out of what was it? I think it was when they were coming out of the Jericho Appreciation Society segment.
Oh, yeah.
He said Jericho Appreciation. They're going to put that on a shirt. They probably already have.
Yep.
And sure enough.
And sure enough, pretty much was literally, as soon as he said that, they made it live, probably.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So, Larson.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that relationships often take work. A lot of us will drop everything and go out of our way to help someone we care about. But how often do we give ourselves that same treatment?
BetterHelp is here to remind us that you got to take care of the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Several years ago, I started dealing with severe anxiety, and it was then that I learned firsthand how important it is to take care of myself and talk to a therapist. But I also learned that it can be really tough to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp's online therapy makes that process of finding a therapist much more convenient by offering video, phone, or even live chat therapy sessions, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours.
Remember that you are your greatest asset, so invest as much time in yourself as you do the others in your life. Check out our sponsor, BetterHelp. And right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/raw.
That's BETTERHELP.com/raw. Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Coinbase. So, Steve, I got to be honest with you. I've been curious about getting to the world of cryptocurrency, but I find it all a bit overwhelming. Like, I literally have no idea where I should even start. Where would I even start? Steve, do you know where I should start? Where should I start, Steve? Where should I start?
Nah, man. Listen, I was once there with you, friendo, but then I started using Coinbase, which makes learning to buy and sell cryptocurrency simple. Coinbase's easy-to-use platform has basically turned me from a crypto dullard into a crypto pro. It was a breeze to start my own portfolio, and Coinbase supports the most popular digital currencies on the market, as well as offering portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app, so I can keep tabs of all my crypto in one place.
So whether you're looking to diversify, get started, or just find a better way to get into crypto markets, get started today with Coinbase.
And for a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/goingin. Sign up at coinbase.com/goingin for $10 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only.
All in all, top to bottom, a pretty solid episode of Dynamite. Might as well get started here. Show kicked off with Chris Jericho coming out to the ring. And he calls Revolution one of the greatest nights of his career. Says, even though my neck hurts, I lost. It's still one of the best matches I've ever had, and maybe the best match I've had in AEW. And he wants to thank Eddie for that. He says, because you've awakened something in me that I didn't know was still there. He says, when it came down to it, Eddie, you beat me, and I didn't live up to my word. I refused to shake your hand, and I was frustrated. I was angry, and I needed to make it up to Eddie. You deserve my respect. So come on out here. I want to apologize to you face to face and shake your hand. So Eddie comes to the ring.
Yeah, and there's somebody. He starts talking, and somebody whats him.
And then he tells him to.
What do I always say? I swear to God, in every AEW crowd,
always one person.
The crowd is usually fantastic, but there's always that one person.
One person. So Eddie comes to the ring. He says, all right, we're about to get deep here. He says, the Friday night before the pay-per-view, before the biggest match of my career, I didn't want to show up. I wanted to go out. I wanted to go drinking. I want to do all sorts of other things. Because you got in my mind. You made me think, can I win the big one? And he starts listing off all the big matches that he lost. Mm-hmm. He says, Jericho, you're right. I was afraid. But then I went to the Fan Fest, and I had 4 people come up to me and talk about, was it the Players Tribune article? Was it the Players Tribune?
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the outlet that did it. And talked about how much that meant to them. And he says, I was going to make that match. He said, that night I went to my hotel room and cried. And I want to make the match to make those people proud. Not for you, Jericho. And he says, I hope to all the people that I talked to at FanFest, I did you proud. He says, but I don't need the handshake. This handshake is for you. Because what's missing inside you that made you not shake my hand? This is not an Eddie problem. This is a Jericho problem. No matter what anyone says in the back, he really talks up Jericho about, I wanted the Jericho that wrestled in Japan, goes on, and says, no matter what anyone says in the back, you prove me wrong that you're still the number one guy. But is that enough to not want to shake my hand? So Jericho says, everything you said, Eddie, is right. I've been obsessing over it. I want to tell you, I respect you. Thank you for giving me one of my best matches of my career. Let's forget about all the other stuff, and please shake my hand. So Eddie does. And pretty much immediately 2.0 and Garcia come to the ring. And they start attacking Jericho and Eddie. Santana and Ortiz run in to make the save. And so you think Inner Circle has the upper hand. Ortiz, he has a bat with him. He hands it to Jericho. And Santana is holding up Garcia. So Jericho takes the bat. You think he's going to blast Garcia. You're wrong.
Oh.
He blasts Santana with it. Then Ortiz. And then 2.0 and Garcia continued the beatdown. Jake Hager runs to the ring. And he's all, I just lost my camera, didn't I?
Yeah, I'll take over from there. Jake Hager's like, oh, dear, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure who to align with. I don't know. And Jericho's like, come on, man, you got to make the decision now. Sorry, I didn't tell you anything before all this. So then he goes and he runs and he lays into Santana. 2.0 hits Ortiz with a DDT. Garcia stretches Santana. 2.0 hold up Kingston. Jericho steps up, slaps him, and then decks him with a bat. 2.0 bring the timekeeper table closer to the ring. Hager power bombs Eddie. This was ugly as fuck because Hager is, as JR said, Hager is a tall dude, and Eddie was up there, and he got folded in half here on this power bomb off the apron through the table.
Yeah,
and then Hager and Jericho lay Santana Ortiz vests over them. Jericho grabs the mic, says, "This is the Jericho Appreciation Society, and that's entertainment."
So I'm guessing he's really going to lean to the sports entertainment aspect of all this.
So what can we expect from the sports entertainment group, Jericho Appreciation Society? What elements?
Maybe he'll go through and try to start instituting rules, a la what Vince apparently does.
Oh, that's good.
You can't say pro wrestling or pro wrestlers on the show.
What's going to be his other word? Well, no, what's going to be? So he's not going to say, I guess he can say sports entertainment, but he's going to use a different word for superstar. I don't know if he's going to be that obvious about it, calling them superstars. There's going to be something. There's going to be some euphemism
maybe if they can pull it off. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, elite stars, yeah.
Then we get a quick little CM Punk video package. He's just talking about how he's got to detox himself of all these ghosts to be someone he doesn't want to be. He said that CM Punk is dead. Long live CM Punk. This is right after his dog collar match with MJF, so he's still got like crusted blood and stuff on his face.
Can take like a bit of a vacation. Probably has a nice contract with a bunch of days off coming
up. I would think so.
Mm-hmm. After that, we had Dante Martin versus Hangman Page, AEW title here. This was obvious. Look, the Dante Martin match, you talk about it as much as you want. A lot of cool shit happening here. In the end, though, Hangman Page gets the buckshot lariat for the win. Shivani hits the ring for an interview. Page says, hold on a second. Dante, get back over here. He says, last year you got put in a tough position. Your brother got hurt. You had to be a singles wrestler. He says, you made it all the way to the AEW title. He says, I know Darius is back, so you're going to be going for the tag titles. He said, but you're one of the fastest, hardest-hitting competitors AEW has. If you make it back to the singles division, he says, I'd love to do it here again. So Adam Cole says, you're pathetic. Look at this. Listen to this crap. He says, Paige, I took you to your limits. You got a fluke victory over Adam Cole, baby. He says, anybody can get lucky once. Next time we fight, you won't get lucky. He challenges Paige then to a 6-man tag match next week, and Paige says, you can pick whoever you want. He says, I've got 2 men in mind, one of the best tag teams in the world, 2 guys who are my friends and not your friends. It's obvious he's talking about the Bucks.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to make your life a living hell. He says, your days as champion are numbered. I won't stop until I get what I want, and that's to hear the words, Adam Cole, AEW champion. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I imagine they might, like a themed episode, run this back at some, maybe, I don't know, a month from now. I don't know when, like, I think there's like St. Patrick's. No, that's
next week.
Too soon. Yeah, that's
when they have the tag match.
That's that one. I don't know. What do they got kind of in April?
They'll probably have some sort of themed episode in April because the end of May is Double or Nothing. So
yeah, but that's cool. It's Adam Cole's a big deal. He needs a couple of shots at that title first.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah. Then we get Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, their debut match as a tag team, taking on the Workhorsemen, JD Drake. Workhorsemen. Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, it is, but you got to emphasize horsemen.
Workhorsemen.
Yeah. Because, like, who are you guys? Oh, we're the Workhorsemen.
Workhorsemen.
You're the 4 Horsemen?
No,
the Workhorsemen.
Workhorsemen.
Are you related to the 4 Horsemen?
No, Workhorsemen. They're JD Drake, who we've seen in AEW a lot, and Anthony Henry.
Yeah.
So, as expected, Danielson and Mox beat the heck out of JD Drake and Anthony Henry. Eventually, Danielson hits Drake with a bunch of stomps, puts him in the yes lock, he taps. So, Regal hits the ring along with Shivani. And the crowd's going crazy. I love it. Regal just kind of goes.
He's such a headmaster.
Oh, yeah. I know. He's quiet down. Yeah. So he tells Shivani, I never thought I'd do this again. It's been 29 years.
So I know people are going to be like, Steve, you do a great Regal. You should do this one. I don't want to do his impression to this whole thing. So you can go ahead.
He says, it's been 29 years since I've come to America. He says, time has flown by, and my time is flying by. Says I'm 53 years old, but essentially he says it's been a hard 53 years.
Yeah, he looks amazing for 53. He looks great for 53. He does look really good.
Yeah. And he says by 65, I expect my wife will probably be essentially wheeling me around. He says, I know I'm not long for this world.
He has plenty of. I imagine he probably has plenty of life left. But it's such a great promo.
It is. It's so good. Because it seems so reflective, of his life and his career, and what he's meant to Danielson and Mox.
Existential and shit. Really and Danielson looked like he was on the verge of crying a couple times.
I know. So he says, "I'm down." He says, "Enough of that. I'm down here to talk about Moxley and Bryan." But then he gets distracted by Tony. He says, "This is the first time I really get to thank you for helping me when I first came here to the States. So thank you." And he goes, okay, enough of being nice. Time is ticking by, and I'm no longer required by my old job. For the last 2 months, I checked out of wrestling until I heard Bryan Danielson mention me on Dynamite. Then that piqued my interest, and then I found out that Danielson was going to fight Mox, and so he says, I got to tune in.
Yeah, your camera's froze again. I'll pick up. He says he calls himself a rogue. He says, you guys know that. He says, but if somebody wants to work hard, I can make them a better professional wrestler. He says, Bryan is the wrestler I should have been. He is the perfect wrestler, and there was a time when we would train until midnight. He says, Bryan became everything I could never be because Bryan doesn't have the problems I have. Or he didn't have the problems I had.
Yeah.
And then he turns to Mox and he says, and then there's you. And he says, and when I knew that we were going to knock the stuffing out of each other, I said, when I knew you guys were going to get together and knock the stuffing out of each other, I knew I had to come to AEW. Because who better to teach the younger wrestlers? The ultimate wrestler and the ultimate brawler. And he issues a warning to everyone we face. You won't like the outcome. You better step up or get stepped on.
That's so good.
And there's a shirt. Stepped up. Step up or get stepped on.
It was so good.
Oh.
Then we got a Dark Order interview. Before they can really talk, Hangman steps in. And he's like, hey, Alex, I apologize for shoving you. I lost my temper. I screwed up. I'm really sorry. And Evil Uno's like, all right, everything's okay. Hooray. And then John Silver's like, hey, Hangman, who are you going to pick for your partners next week? and he starts kind of says, "What about me? What about Colt? What about Anna?" And then Paige says, "Oh, I ran by Jurassic Express on the way over here, and they said they really wanted to get their hands on the Young Bucks." So I was like, "Okay, that's okay." So I think they're going to do it.
It's all super awkward, and I feel like, sometimes you're like running with people, and then you realize that it's not really worth it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just stop. You just get rid of them. I mean, you and I, we've had this relationship for 25 years. I think this is solid. We're good. We got together today. It was fun. I did not feel awkward all today. We were cracking up.
I didn't really feel awkward either.
And but I think with Hangman and the Dark Order, they're just a bunch of dorks, man. I'm not into that friendship.
Well, it might not last.
How did you feel?
Steve.
You froze on me. What? Oh no, what might not? I don't know. Hello, Larson?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Hello? What might not last long? Are you dying?
Oh my goodness.
Larson, are you okay? I think Larson pooped his pants. Next up, we had Wheeler Yuta versus X-Pac. I'm sorry.
X-Pac.
versus Pac. I was thinking of 6 versus X-Pac today. Anyways, Yuta gets some of his shit in. Pac hits him with a gut kick, follows with a German suplex, gets a 2 with that. Then Pac hits a superplex, locks on the brutalizer. Yuta taps out. All those other nerds from Best Friends are out there too.
Yeah. Then we got Adam Cole, Young Bucks, Redragon promo. Cole's like, "Yeah, Sunday wasn't the best night for us. I lost. Both you guys lost. Your 2 teams lost." And Matt says, "Yeah, no thanks to Kyle and Bobby." And they all start bickering back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And Cole says, "Stop arguing, because we're going to change everything next week on Dynamite." He says, "I got the perfect partners in mind for myself." And Matt cuts him off and goes, "If you're talking about facing Hangman, we're out. Count us out."
We're out. Yeah. No,
and then
we're
Cole
good.
just says, "Fine. I was going to pick you guys anyway. I was going to pick Kyle and Bobby."
And then he storms off, and Kyle says, "Little presumptuous, don't you think? A little self-centered, don't you think?" And then Bobby just says, "Stupid." And then Cutler says, "I would have picked you guys." And of course, they say, "Shut up, Brandon."
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny.
This was pretty sudden and shocking. FTR had an interview. They're asked if they're going to go after the tag titles or get payback against the Bucks and Redragon. Dax says, pro wrestling was my first love, and it's all the way up to marrying my wife and having my beautiful, perfect kid. He says, to go back home and tell her that she can do anything she wants if she stands up for what she believes in. Daddy and Uncle Cash got to do the same thing. I think he called him Uncle Dan.
Yeah.
Got to do the same thing first. He's about to tell the Bucks and Redragon, and then Tully steps in. I don't know where was he heading with this? Where was Dax headed with all this?
I think he was saying, listen up, Young Bucks and Redragon, we're coming for you. I think that was the idea. Then Tully steps in and is like, hold on. When we got together, we said this was all about championships. And then Dax is like, not right now. This is about This is about my family.
Yeah, but what does one have to do with the other? Like, what does his wife care if? Like, in theory, don't you get more money by going after championships?
I think the idea is Dax trying to show his daughter that essentially if you because I guess the idea is FTR got screwed out of their opportunity.
Speak up for yourself.
Yeah, speak up for you. Stand up for yourself.
Okay.
Because FTR got denied their opportunities by Young Bucks and Redragon. So if we can't stand up to ourselves to them, how can I go home and tell my daughter to stand up for herself at home?
That makes sense, because he was rambling about his family, and then he said something about the Bucks and Redragon, and then Tully just blurted out, "Oh, when we got together, it was all about titles." And Dax is like, "No, this is all about my family." And then Cash is like, "Yeah, this is about family, and you're not in it. You're fired." Mm-hmm. And then they just immediately cut to this silly AHFO emergency board meeting. I was like, wait, go back to the Tully thing, because they just fired that poor old man. They didn't even give him a written warning or anything.
No.
That was messed up.
Fired.
Oh, how long is it going to be before Arn steps up?
Oh, pretty soon, I think.
Name other 4 horsemen that are going to succeed
Sid.
Arn. Sid, yeah. He's going to be like, Sid's going to show up and he's going to say, "Okay, boys, here's the thing about you guys. You're real short. And in pro wrestling, short guys, they don't draw money. So I'm going to teach you how to be a little taller. What I have here is a trench coat. Now, if you can stand get on his shoulders and put on this trench coat, you could be the best singles wrestler there is."
Yeah. Talk about being a massive
That was
attraction.
pretty good. That wasn't a terrible sit.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
If you ever listen to a Sid interview, he kind of talks.
Yeah,
like
he
that.
kind of does talk like that. So then we have a Andrade Hardy family office emergency board meeting. So Hardy, he's got no suit on. He's dressed more like casual. It's like, I want a fresh start. I want to make everything right with all you. But Andrade, you want to fire me from the company that I started, AEW. And Andrade's like, whoa, tranquilo, calm.
Tranquilo.
What happened to your suit? He pretty much says that Hardy smells.
Yeah, right.
And Hardy's like, whoa, hold on. Yeah, I apologize to you. I apologize to Butcher and Blade. I apologize to Private Party because every time I put on a suit, I turn to an asshole. And Andrade, you know what that means, or that is about.
God starts chanting asshole too. Yeah.
And Matt Hardy just insists, I want to make this right. And so Andrade says, all right, we'll have a vote. And Hardy says, that's fine. We'll have a vote. I'm not going to be voted out because Private Party, my sons, as we refer to him, won't vote me out. So he just calls for a simple thumbs up, thumbs down vote. So first, Andrade gives Hardy the thumbs down. And then Hardy gives himself a thumbs up. Jose, thumbs down.
Yeah, why does Jose even get a vote here? Isn't he like an
I just think he's a member of the board.
Right.
So then Private Party at first, thumbs up. And so Hardy's talking about all, hey, we'll stick together. Think about all the great things we can go to AEW. He's talking. And Private Party pulls Batista and changes the thumbs up to a thumbs down.
Yeah.
And Andrade says, hey, in this business, you always have to watch your back. And so he turns around, sees Private Party with the thumbs down. They all start beating up on Matt Hardy. Andrade hits him with the boot. He tells Jose to go get a chair. Darby and Sting just kind of amble out.
Oh, dude, it's as slow as humanly possible.
Yeah. So they make it to the ring. There's a huge brawl that breaks out. Jeff Hardy comes to the ring. He makes the save. They all clear the ring. Matt hits Blade with the twist of fate. Jeff falls with Swanton. Nice moment. Jeff and Matt embrace. Seeing Jeff in AEW should be a lot of fun.
Oh, man, this is great. It's awesome. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. After that, we had a Swerve Strickland interview. He said he's hyped for his debut on Rampage. And then the premier athlete, Tony Nee, steps in. He says, he was like, oh, man, I was going, he said, Tony here was going crazy for you. He's like, he didn't do that for me. And he says, you and I have a history of Friday nights. Swerve was wondering, he was like, man, I was wondering who the first person to interrupt me in an interview was going to be. And he said, of course it's you. He says, let's revisit our Friday by me beating your ass. So they're going to have a match on Rampage.
I like they reference 205 Live.
I know. There's a broader.
There's a world of wrestling outside of AEW, and they acknowledge it.
Wrestling.
Then we had a Wardlow interview. He says, we all come to a moment in our lives where we got to decide that we're going to spend our time accomplishing someone else's dream or start accomplishing our own. And he says, I thought my opportunity with Max was my opportunity to set myself free, but I just end up leaving, as he says, one cage for another. He says, I knew Max wasn't a good person when I signed up for the job. And he says, you're going to have to forgive me for associating with such a piece of trash. He says, I grew up very poor and had to watch my mom raise me and my sisters. And I knew from early age I wanted to be a wrestler because I knew that would be a way for me to provide for my family. And he says, MJF was my way of getting my foot in the door. And he said, MJF, I thank you for that opportunity, but no matter how much you may pay a man, it doesn't give you the right to threaten them or their family or lay your hands on them. He says, I'm still under contract with Max, but I don't give a damn. My actions Sunday were to show that I'm no longer Max's bodyguard. I'm no longer in the Pinnacle. I'm finally free. And so he tells Max, release me from this BS contract, and in return, we can just go our separate ways. He said, I'd love to powerbomb Max, but I've wasted 3 years of energy with him. Karma will be Max's payback. He says, the only thing I care about now is winning the TNT title and getting a new contract after years of giving. I want to take, and I want it all. And he declares that AEW is now Wardlow's world.
And you're just living in it. Yeah, legally, this is probably a terrible move for Wardlow. As we've seen in other companies, publicly asking, unless your name is Andrade, publicly asking for a release usually doesn't really work. Doesn't get you anywhere. In fact, they might actually hold you around longer. Well, they might have previously released you just out of spite. So I kind of assume that this is going to go.
He's going to get. He's not going to win that TNT title next week because MJF's going to interfere, and then MJF is definitely not going to let him out of his contract.
Mm-hmm. I got in trouble with Lou. She says, "Take that shit back, Steve." What did I say? What did I do?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. What did I do? So anyways, clearly MJF is gonna. He's not only gonna cost him this title match. Your camera's frozen, but I imagine he's probably also gonna legally fuck this guy 8 times over. How do you think that's gonna go down? What is he gonna? Is he gonna find? Try to garnish his wages? Put a lien on his property? Yeah, a lien on his mom's house?
Oh, maybe.
Ooh, he brought up his family. This was a terrific promo.
It was really good.
This was a terrific promo. It was heartfelt. It was genuine.
Yep.
It was long.
Yeah.
In that he had a lot to get off his chest, and he effectively delivered it. I liked this a lot. Mm-hmm. And now it's just going to be all about Max piling on him, so this guy just power bombs the shit out of him.
He has to overcome the obstacles set before him by Max. I mean, for so long, Wardlow was largely silent.
Yeah.
And other than just being Max's heater, didn't really know anything about him.
Yeah.
In the span of 5 minutes, we learned who he is.
He has, you're right, he has such an interesting face, and there was that one, I think it was the tribute episode where you heard him talk, or it was something, I forget what it was, you heard him talk. And you could just tell he's got all sorts of charisma and character in his voice. Man, I think the world of this guy. And I mean, the only question is going to be, how do they get him out of a feud with MJF? With him you're just going to have to sort of sacrifice MJF a little bit, right? Like Wardlow has to just beat the shit out of this guy after taking a lot from him. Like MJF can totally get like a cheaty win with the chairman and all their dudes. But in the end, Wardlow's got to powerbomb this guy like 10 times.
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe stack him with the chairman, because if Tony Khan's got to understand, you can make a lot of money with Wardlow.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Then we get a quick Keith Lee, QT Marshall interview. So Lee is like, "What do you want from me, QT?" And QT says, "Hey, after seeing you at Revolution, I know why they call you Limitless, but I realize that we have a common enemy in Team Taz." Obviously, QT isn't like Hook. Lee has some beef with Ricky Starks and Hobbs. And QT says, "I know we don't know each other, but I do have a little bit of stroke around here. So I just want you to know that myself and the factory have your back." And Lee just says, "I have a very large back. I'm good."
Cute. Sorry, I cut you off there. Yeah, he says, "I have a very large back. I'm good." And QT just turns. He goes off on it. "You're going to regret this. You're going to regret ever saying that."
And they got a match on Rampage now.
That was hilarious. Oh, QT's going to get his ass whooped.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
that was
he
hilarious.
Then we had Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed. Fun match. The finish of this saw Max Caster hit like a wrecking ball drop kick. Kicks the boombox into Luchasaurus' head. The Acclaimed hit this combo powerbomb deal on Jungle Boy. That gets him a 2 count. So Bowens is distracting the ref. Caster grabs his chain. He's about to get in the ring. Christian pulls him out. Luchasaurus lays him out with a clothesline. And the Jurassic Express hits the Doomsday device on Bowens to get the win.
Yeah. I like that Caster's rap at the beginning just referenced like gas prices going up.
And Batman's box office.
I really appreciate just how lame his raps, tame, lame, whatever, same kind of thing in this case, his raps have gotten. It adds a charm to it. That is because it's just because like he's under the thumb, right? That because of all the controversy he caused before. So it's as if he's intentionally making these just awfully tame, and it makes it so funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
But yeah, no, this is a solid match. This is good stuff. After that, we had a Jade Cargill interview. Once again, just looking like $1 million. She says, "We want to know." She says she wants to know who's next. Sterling wonders, who's even left? They list everybody she's beat. She says her next win will make her 30-0. Jade won, and then they cut to the kiss between her and Ty. She says, who's going to step up and receive her kiss of death on that bitch show? So is that going to be her thing now? She's going to be smooching with everybody,
Maybe.
sucking face?
Maybe.
Is that going to be the situation here?
Could be.
Right on. I wonder who's going to step up.
I don't know. They're going to lose, though.
They are going to lose. Here's one thing they need to, this is one thing they need to not do. And that's like hot shot Paige Van Zant to this title. Don't do that. Mm-mm. Don't do that.
AEW does a lot of things, but hot shotting people to belts is usually not one of them.
They don't usually do that. And I'd like to think they'd know better. Because, you just obviously think of the parallels between Paige and, Ronda Rousey over in WWE coming from the UFC or MMA or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if Paige ever achieved the level of mainstream notoriety success that Ronda did.
Yeah, I don't know. That's sort of not for me to say. I think everybody else will probably have a better read on that. Because I think she is very popular.
Well, I think she's relatively well known, but I don't know if she's Ronda Rousey well known.
Ronda is she was like a singular figure for a while.
I know.
So yeah, but I don't know. I don't keep up with current stuff.
Yeah. Then we got Layla Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa. Of course, winner of this match faces Britt in San Antonio next week. Thunder Rosa's from San Antonio. Of course, she won this match. She hits Layla with the running knee. Sorry, no, Layla goes for running knee. The Thunder Rosa evades that, hits the Fire Thunder Driver to get the win. Afterwards, Shivani, who had a very busy evening, gets on the mic from commentary and tells Thunder Rosa, you're a year removed from the Lights Out match against Britt. Next week, you get your title shot in your hometown, and it's going to be in a steel cage. Kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, no, we totally did, and I wish it was executed a little bit different. I thought it was kind of underwhelming how Tony just got on the mic and said, "Hey, guess what? It's going to be in a steel cage too." Like, at least wheel Tony Khan out, or Thunder Rosa gets on the mic and says, "Hey, Britt, I won this one, and I talked to Tony Khan and I got him to approve. I said, if I won this, I get you in a steel cage."
Yeah, no.
Instead of just Tony saying, "Hey, congratulations, you're going to be in a steel cage. And if you win, you get a new car." So people in chat saying Paige Van Zant for a time was actually a ratings draw when UFC was on Fox, but not as big as Ronda's pay-per-view. Sales-wise, people are basically saying that, no, she's not really a Ronda. So that's interesting. I don't know these things because I stopped following MMA a while
I've never really followed MMA, but...
Yeah.
Then we got a Britt Baker promo. She's like, "Hey, I just beat Thunder Rosa 3 days ago. Instead of going back in the line, she gets the number one contender match. Now she gets another title shot in a steel cage, which will keep my friends out. Thunder Rosa has everyone there in her hometown of San Antonio." She says, "I'm not afraid of Rosa. I'm not afraid of the cage. What I'm afraid of is what happens to AEW after Thunder Rosa wins."
If Carney Riffraff.
Calls Thunder Rosa.
Carney Riff, that's rough.
Carney Riffraff.
Wow. And then we had our main event, Scorpio Sky versus Sammy Guevara. And goddamn. So at the beginning of the match, Sammy pulled a table from under the ring. And then that table he just completely annihilated on his own.
He was trying to hit a 360 on Scorpio Sky, who he had put on the table, but then Scorpio Sky says, "Nope."
Yeah.
Rolls off. Sammy goes through table. And so you have Ty come out. You have Doc Samson, trainer, come out. And they start, like, during picture-in-picture, like, helping him up the ramp. And he just says, you don't hear him say it, but I imagine this is how it went. "No, I want to finish my match and defend my title. Get lost."
I hope he said it like, oh, yeah, that too. Okay.
Get lost.
And then Doc Samson's like, whatever.
Yeah. And so he goes back to the ring, and Scorpio Sky.
As he's done in the past. No, okay, whatever.
Scorpio Sky hits like 3 nasty-looking backbreakers. And then Sammy actually goes on a bit of a run, hits a springboard cutter. He actually hits his finish. Scorpio Sky, though, rolls to the apron. Sammy kind of brings him back closer to the corner, looks for a shooting star press. Scorpio Sky gets his knees up. Dan Lambert distracts the ref, and then Ethan Page gets on the apron. Try gets in the ring. Ty comes over and pulls him off, and Paige Van Zant, who was sitting ringside, jumps the guardrail and then chucks Ty into the ring steps.
Mm-hmm.
So Sammy's kind of distracted by that for a moment, turns around. Sky hits Sammy with a TKO to get the win. Basically, as soon as he gets both those belts, he goes blast Sammy with one of them.
Yeah.
And then Paige puts Ty in the ring, kicks her in the head, and then signs her AEW contract right there.
Yeah, yeah. So Ty Conti confirmed the Dolph Ziggler of, well, I guess up until now, because Dolph Ziggler won the NXT championship.
Look at that segue. Yes, Dolph is your new NXT champion, furthering the story of Braun Breaker learning how to be a wrestler.
Yeah, or furthering the story of Braun Breaker heading directly to Raw. But yeah, you got to figure Stand and Deliver is probably going to end up being Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Breaker one-on-one.
Yeah, you think so.
And Braun probably would just win it there straight up. I don't know.
So. You'd think
maybe,
so.
Maybe not. I mean, this definitely is much sturdier of a bridge between Raw and NXT, given that the Dirty Dogs are there all the time.
I will say this. It would be interesting to see Dolph actually retain a Stand Deliver, Braun go to the main roster, and see Carmelo try to be, without a doubt, the A-champ and have both those belts.
Carmelo and Trick are the best things about
that
2.0.
barbershop segment last night was amazing. The chemistry was fantastic. It was so good.
The editing, the performances, it felt so natural and genuine.
It felt genuine.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's so little on 2.0 feels genuine because everything is more about the construct. It's more about the facade of pro wrestling. It's all about these huge characters and the bright flashing lights and the spectacle. That's what 2.0 it is.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of people that feel real.
Yeah, you're right.
And genuine,
right.
And that's what separates Carmelo and Trick because they have these segments. And it just feels like, oh, there's a camera that happens to be here. When they're having a conversation, they've probably been having the cameras weren't there.
It's like when people talk about the metaverse. It's like this is wrestling metaverse. It's a bunch of fake shit.
I mean, it really 2.0 really leans into the sports entertainment aspect of things a lot more consistently, I feel like, than the main roster programming does.
And some of it is better than other stuff. Like I like this week, the little bit with Briggs and Jensen, who are quickly because I went back and I rewatched last week's, and last week's was a bit more awkward for my taste. But this week, it's all about the comedic timing. Mm-hmm. And Jensen's starting to find the comedic timing. He's a really young guy, so I don't expect him to pick it up immediately. But like the comedic timing within the flow of the conversation was really good. Mm-hmm. And so some of it is decent sports entertainment. Some of it is pretty darn good. The Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, the barbershop stuff was really good. And some of it is just really bad and like almost not watchable. Like the Lash Legend, Nikita Lyons stuff. I understand like they were trying to do kind of a Maury Povich type thing, but it just comes off. The performances are just dude. Yeah. They're not good.
Yeah. And then you got Tony D'Angelo, who seemed like he was maybe going somewhere, is now back to where he started.
Yeah, it's literally the week one promos type thing.
Yeah.
With him. It's still just, but then the Chase U thing made me laugh, and I know it's fairly repetitive. They do the same thing every time, but this time it was a bit more. He threw a basketball at a guy, and Andre Chase, he's a funny guy. He understands comedy. He knows how to perform comedy, and so it worked really well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good matches. Don't get me wrong. There's some good matches.
I thought both the semifinal matches for the Women's Dusty Cup are really solid. The main event was really good.
Yeah, that was really good. The LA Knight versus Grayson Waller.
That was a lot of fun.
Was a lot of fun. Even the it was nice seeing Fallon Henley. Is that her name? Mm-hmm. Get that win, that unexpected win over Tiffany Stratton. I like that. I mean, there's stuff to like, but it's so uneven.
I know.
It's like the stuff that I really like, but then you got to sit through other stuff that I'm like, it's just cringy. It's kind of cringy.
It is.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but let's talk about this really quick before we get into the nitty gritty. My winners for the Dusty Cup fell in the semifinals. Yeah, they're out. They got bounced by the girl that sleeps a lot, and then and Dakota Kai, who's just an absolutely. They're both terrific wrestlers. They really are.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then they're going to take on the team that I figured would be also potentially winners.
My pick to win it.
Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. Because I figured that like Cora and Raquel have already had like a thing. So
I know they literally have had a triple threat match against Mandy Rose for the title, which I think we both kind of figured whatever team between Io and Kaylee Ray and Raquel and Cora didn't win the Dusty Cup, one member of that team would, or maybe both, would eventually go for challenge Mandy. Now who knows?
Yeah, I did one thing I really appreciate about this match is like the callback to the story, the Cora, Raquel, and Wendy and Dakota match, is the callback to Dakota and Raquel. Like Raquel's presence seemed to really sort of amplify whatever issues Dakota Kai is going through, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah. And there's a moment where she hesitated to kick Raquel.
I mean, that's one thing about 2.0 that I do appreciate is that similar to 1.0, the show feels like it is one thing. There are threads throughout the show that reference each other. And sometimes like main roster WWE can feel disjointed. It just feels like one thing happens, another thing happens, another thing happens. Yeah. At least with 2.0, with all the ridiculousness, it does tie together relatively decently.
It does. Show kicked off with Cora Jade, Raquel Gonzalez taking on Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai. Fun match. There's this fun little bit at the beginning where Wendy just decides to take a nap in the ring, and Cora like literally tiptoes over to Raquel to tag her in as to not wake up Wendy Chu. It was funny. Yeah, no,
it was a fun little bit.
It was a fun little bit.
I mean, very comedy indie wrestling.
It was.
It was a fun little bit.
So the finish saw Dakota Kai in a position where she could hit Raquel with the face wash kick, but she hesitates at first because she's like conflicted over hitting it. You know, going through their history. She tries again. Raquel catches her, looks for her finish. Instead, her knee gives out because that was worked over earlier, thanks to toxic attraction. Kai hits the DDT, hits the kick in the corner, tags in Chu. She hits a Vader bomb. Dakota Kai tags back in. She hits a top rope double stomp to get the win. They advance to the finals of the Dusty Cup.
Yep. After that, we had a Tommaso Ciampa promo talking about tonight he becomes a 3-time champion. He's proud of that legacy, et cetera, et cetera. He says, I'm number one, and there's a huge gap, and then everybody else is number one. Everybody else is number two.
Then we go to the parking lot, Performance Center parking lot, the most dangerous places in Florida, and Creed Brothers gotten laid out.
They looked like they were selling like a nasty bout of explosive diarrhea. They were holding their guts like
they were kind of rolling around like this.
Yeah. Ooh, poop their pants. After that, we had Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley. Of course, Saray ends up, what is it? Oh, a bunch of steam.
There's all that steam or smoke that billowed like at the foot of the ramp or by that side of the ring. And then Saray is on the other side, kicks Stratton from behind. And then Fallon hits like a shining wizard to get the win. I'm like, where's the steam or smoke come from?
That was her transfer. That was what's her face? Because we saw earlier Tiffany Stratton heading to the backstage, and Saray was in her schoolgirl outfit, and so the steam represents her transforming.
I must have fast forwarded through that shot.
Yeah, and so the steam is like she transformed into a superhero person. See, gotcha. That's the good. I love Saray though. She's great.
Yeah, she is great.
That stuff's goofy as fuck.
See, I missed that. Otherwise, maybe I would have made that connection. I just saw steam. I'm like, what the heck?
She was, yeah.
Didn't get it. Now
she was smoking some, I don't know.
Thanks for filling me in.
No sweat. Anyways, after that, we had a Chase U video package. He says he was pointing out his entrance from last week, and he's like, we need to perform like we practice. And he says, look at this, and it shows him rolling out the Chase U banner. And he's like, look at this piss poor execution that threw me off my game. He says, but in this classroom, it's all about turning negatives into positives. One beacon of light was Bodie. And Bodie says, anything for you, Andre. And Bodie's eye looks so infected.
It looks like it's got gangrene, yeah.
And another student says, Mr. Chase, Bodie's eye looks really bad. Maybe you should get it checked out. And Chase says, when did you become a fucking doctor? He says, Bodie's fine, and you're being disrespectful. I'm going to beat the ever-living shit out of you. And he throws a basketball at the poor guy.
That's pretty great.
This was funny because of the eye. That was hilarious.
It was pretty
and Bodie's
solid.
like a big smile on his face.
Yeah. Then we got the Carmelo and Trick barbershop segment. So Trick's talking about everybody that Mello has beat. He says Roddy missed his shot, Grimes' jumper is broke, and Dunn's jumper is worse than Westbrook's. They all took their chance.
Called him Skeet.
Yeah.
Skeet Dunn.
They all took their chance with the A-champ, and they came up short. Mello says, not easy being the A-champ. It isn't easy trying to keep all these suckers relevant, but he's come up with the golden rules. He's got the gold. He makes the rules.
Yeah, that's such a Jordan thing right there. The Jordan rules.
I know. So since he's come to NXT, he's been climbing rung by rung by rung straight to the top. So let's go ahead and run it back. And the same type of match the North American title was introduced in, a ladder match.
History right there.
Yeah, so his friends there start asking, well, what are you thinking for opponents? 1? 10? And Trick's like, I'm thinking 4. And Mello
He's
likes
there
that.
aren't even 10 people who are on the level to
below me, yeah. And Trick says, thinking 4. And they should have to qualify. Thank you, Trick. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
He says, numbers don't lie. Mello don't miss. Check your stats and analytics. But I do want to know, why does it have to be a ladder match? People get hurt in ladder matches. They're crazy.
Trick's afraid of heights.
Yeah, Trick is so good. So Mello's saying, I'm doing it because I can. The mission is to stand on top of the ladder with my title and deliver the performance of a lifetime and prove I'm the greatest North American champion. The A-champ doesn't ever miss.
That's right. After that, we had this cheesy lashing out with Lash Legend.
This was not good.
I mean, I feel like there were elements of it that were okay, but it was just not. It's so cheesy. So her guest is Nikita Lyons. Like the worst thing that was said, Lash accused Lyons of having booty implants, and then Nikita says, I'm all natural. Then you're full of shit. She got poo-poo pants.
That was it. We had an Imperium interview, and they were asked, hey, did you attack the Creeds? And they took a long way around to say, no, wasn't us. MSK steps in, and they were like, we know what you guys are up to. If the Creeds can't make their match, we'll take their spot, and we'll win the titles, and then give Creeds the title match after we win. I'm like,
they just did that.
You're putting a target on you as far as people thinking that you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, but somehow it worked. I mean, it didn't in the end, but they were able to get that title shot.
Yeah.
After that, you got Briggs, Jensen, and Fallon. They're all celebrating her win. Fallon asks them, they're like, hey, do you guys know what happened to the Creeds? And they say parking lot step up.
She asked what happened to the Creeds, and they just kind of go, parking lot. And they go to Legato, who's like walking by behind them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, were you guys involved?
Yeah.
And Santos like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Briggs says, Legato has turned the Porn Center parking lot to the most dangerous place on earth, and it's not going to happen to us.
Yeah, that is a trope that has been in NXT for a very long time.
Back to probably Hideo Itami getting laid out.
I think Kenta, yeah.
And then Raul tells him, hey, when we attack someone, you know about it. And Joaquin says, hey, but didn't you guys lose to the Creeds in the Dusty Cup? And Jensen's like, hey, I know all about your plans. And Lopez says, hey, don't blame us because you can't get laid. And he goes, I'm working on it. So
I'm working on it.
And then Fallon asks Briggs, hey, did you guys attack the Creeds? And Briggs goes, no, we're the good guys. We wouldn't do that.
We're the good guys. We wouldn't do that. Fallon's, after he says, we're working on it, and they leave, Fallon says, did you guys do that? And he's like, no, man, I said I'm working on it. And she said, no, I mean, did you attack the Creeds? And Jensen's delivery was really good. It was really well timed.
Yeah.
I have to appreciate that shit.
Yeah.
We had LA Knight versus Grayson Waller up next, last man standing. And my God, it was just LA Knight walking around dropping Grayson off of tall areas, which was pretty great.
I did like that every time the ref was counting and Waller was down, after every number, the crowd would go, yeah.
I know. I like that too. And it kind of like, dude, Grayson Waller has won like every match they've had. And like, yeah, you figure in the end, Grayson's the guy they're trying to get over, but like, couldn't he have lost one of these matches?
No.
Nope.
No, you said it yourself. Waller's the one to try and get over, not LA Knight. LA Knight is over.
He is really over.
He is really over. He is
super over.
It was a fun match. At the end, though, Waller ends up hitting the elbow through the commentary table on Knight. And so he had a slapjack in his hand, didn't he?
Oh, did he? I
thought that. I thought that's what he had. He had some weapon they got from Songa. I thought it was a slapjack. Hits an elbow through the table. And then, to get to his feet before the 10 count, he like grabs on so Songa kind of does a squat.
Yeah.
And Waller hangs onto his back or grabs onto his shoulders, and as Songa stands up, Waller gets to his feet. LA Knight can't. LA Knight loses.
Yeah.
It was a clever finish. I like that.
Yeah, it was good. Is LA Knight? I don't know if you want to go to main roster if you're LA Knight. I mean, for the money, sure.
Yeah.
But he's really popular in 2.0.
He is. He is.
If it wasn't for the fact that he's like 40,000 years old, he'd have a huge future there. After that, we had a Braun Breaker promo. Speaking of huge futures, he says, walk into the match tonight as champion underdog. Champion Dolph have all the experience. I just show up every day to bust my ass in the film room and the practice ring because I love this business. When I look at the title, think of all the guys who held it before me. All the pain and hard work it takes to hold the title is what drives me to keep it. Tonight's my last roadblock before I stand and deliver. I'm going to run right through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got a Tony D'Angelo promo. He says, I think it's time NXT runs on my clock and stand deliver. I'll go to witness Tony D, the new Don of NXT. It's literally right back to the beginning.
This time he had like an allegory about some guy in a restaurant.
He was in a restaurant.
Something. Yeah, well, he was in a restaurant, but he was talking about a guy that he had to intimidate on behalf of an owner of the restaurant. Anyways.
Then we got Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai versus Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. That Doomsday Poison Rana, holy shit.
I don't understand how people could just fall on their head like that.
I don't get it either.
Fine.
I don't get it on a normal Poison Rana. I certainly don't get it when the person getting the Poison Rana is on someone else's shoulders.
This was nuts.
It was crazy.
It was absolutely nuts, and yet that didn't win them the match.
No.
You'd think it would, but you'd be wrong.
No. Io ends up getting the pin on Casey after a moonsault. That was preceded by Kaylee Ray, KLR bomb. Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai advanced to face Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai in the Dusty Cup finals.
Yeah. After that, we had a little bit here with Indy and Persia. I'm not going to go over all this. Persia walks in with Duke. They're all having problems because Persia's been hanging out with Duke too much, and Indy and Duke have history. And then they're going to have a match to settle who's better because they both think that they're better.
Yeah.
And then in the end, Duke and Persia start banging in the locker room.
Virtually.
Yeah. After that, we had Tiffany Stratton. She said, next week I'm going to do more than break Saray's necklace. I'm going to break her face.
Then we had MSK versus Imperium. This match was going good until the Creeds, obviously angry about someone attacking them in the parking lot and giving them explosive diarrhea, hit the ring and just destroy everybody. And the crowd was popping huge for the Creeds.
Yeah, man, that crowd loves the Creeds. That crowd, they've really taken to the NXT 2.0 regulars.
They have.
LA Knight, the Creeds, they're like, yeah, whatever, just give us something of our own.
Exactly.
After that, we had Draco Anthony working out, and then Harlan shows up behind him, just lingering there like a creep. And Draco's like, "What the fuck?" He gets up, and then Gacy steps in. He's like, "No, man, we come in peace." He says, "Open yourself up and allow others into your life." And then before he can answer, Zion Quinn steps in, and says Draco can have a life of his own. He tells Draco, "Don't let Gacy get into his head." Gacy says he wants Draco to live his own life as opposed to living a lie. He'll give Draco more time to think about it. Is Gacy going to offer Draco some sort of contract or some sort of stipend, perhaps?
I don't know.
What's in it for Draco?
I know what's in it for Draco.
Yeah, go ahead.
His own gym available 24/7.
Unlimited gym access.
That's what it is.
Do you want to go in at 1 o'clock? Is that too early or too late? Do you want to go in at 3:30? Is that too early or too late?
Choice is yours, Draco.
Choices, you do whatever you want, Draco.
Exactly. Then we had Dolph promo. He says he's going to screw up Braun's Mania weekend plans, and he says, "Hit my music, the good one." So he knows the Dirty Dogs theme is crap.
It is crap. It is awful. I kind of appreciate that. Like, they're in NXT 2.0. They know Vince doesn't watch the show, and so they kind of do what they want to do.
It's great.
Yeah, like you had the Glorious theme last week, and yeah, that was good.
And then
after that, NXT UK graduation ceremony, man. A-Kid is coming to 2.0. Hopefully it doesn't take him as long as it's taken Veer to come on Raw.
I think Kushida and him are having a match next week.
Oh, is that going to happen?
Or
it's not going to be on a Level Up, is it?
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
Kushida's a Level Up All-Star, man.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah, there was old jacket time thing where Jiro's excited A-Kid's coming, and Kushida's like, yeah, whatever, I could beat this guy, but he's totally going to job to him.
Yeah, he's totally going to lose to A-Kid.
Kushida is the Dolph Ziggler to the Level Up division. Wow, that's rough.
That is rough. That's Kushida you're talking about, man.
Yeah, well,
he's a legend.
Well, so are other people.
Next, main event, Dolph Ciampa, Braun Breaker. Really fun match. Commentary really advanced the story, as we've seen for pretty much since Braun showed up. He's still learning how to be a wrestler.
Learns, man.
Yes, he's learning. And the lack of experience can be exploited to the other wrestlers' benefit.
Yep.
Happened a couple times during this match. In the end, though, Ciampa, he's looking for a running, tosses Dolph out of the ring. He's looking for a running knee on Braun. Bob Roode, who earlier had saved Dolph from getting pinned after Braun hits his finish, pulls Braun by his pants out of the ring, and then Dolph hits Ciampa with a super kick to get the win.
Absolutely. So this is kind of interesting. This is sort of towards the tail end of the show. Sean's given us permission to sort of spoil some Fightful Select stuff. But earlier, we had mentioned about the loaded thing.
Yeah.
About how another thing. Don't look at it. Don't look at it yet. Don't look at it yet, please.
Okay.
We're going to play a mini version of Quizlemania's 20 questions thing.
All right.
I have, it says here in the Fightful write-up what there are actually two other wrestlers who are, I believe, in kayfabe, if not family relations, thematic relations.
All right.
And their theme is technically available now too. And here's one of your hints. There's no way they'll ever need to use these.
Are they active wrestlers?
No. Two wrestlers. One of them is unfortunately deceased.
Okay. Were they in a tag team together?
I believe so.
It's got to be one of the...
The look on your face would be the appropriate response.
Did this person used to tag with Sting?
No.
All right.
No.
I don't know if they're looking for like the Ultimate Warriors theme or something like that.
No, it's nowhere near the level of the Ultimate Warrior. I'll give you another hint. It's an Attitude Era wrestlers.
All right. Oh, they could try and get the Edge's first theme?
So here's the situation. They licensed the entire library of these songs.
Yeah.
And these two just happened to come with it.
Oh, interesting.
This wasn't something AEW was looking to get. They just wanted loaded. But they happened to get this with it. But they're never going to need to use it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Attitude Era wrestlers. Oh, you're giving up? You're tapping out?
Yeah, it's late, man.
Hardcore and Crash Holly.
Oh, interesting.
Their two theme songs are apparently part of this library as well. Yeah. So anyways, we'll answer a couple questions before we call it a night. Got a thread right here on the Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson.
I got a couple subs here, Jupiter Vision and Heel Turn Shaggy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let's see here. Soak and Rose. I can sort of just on the first clause of the sentence here say no. Do you want AEW to follow NXT 2.0's route? No, but he says, and focus solely on younger and upcoming stars on the new Ring of Honor show. Primarily, kind of, but I don't want that to preclude them using more veteran talent. Like, for example, FTR, I think would be cool in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
The Briscoes still.
Yeah.
Let's see here. David Matuszek. When was it established that Daniel Garcia and 2.0 actually like Jericho? It was established next week on Dynamite.
Yep.
Or probably maybe Rampage.
Yeah. But I guess if you're young and upcoming wrestlers, which of course, yeah, absolutely Daniel Garcia is, and you have an invitation to sit under the wrestling learning tree of Chris Jericho,
yeah,
it would probably be for your benefit in terms of getting somewhere in the wrestling business to do that.
Yeah, get a taste. Let's see here. Brendan asks, how would you bring people into the Regal faction? Let's say they do expand.
They should expand. I look forward to them actually bringing in some students.
Yeah.
It's an amazing situation, because Regal kind of described this, that if you get to a match with them, you got to know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe it's similar to how Mox said, I don't team with anybody unless I bleed with them first. So literally, like, your tryout to join this faction is a match against Mox and or Danielson.
Yeah.
And they think you're up to snuff based on your performance. Guess what? You're in.
Yeah. Like Peter Avalon tries out, and they're like, no, sorry. But then Daniel Garcia tries out. He has a match, and they're like, okay, who would you rather be with, us or those guys?
I mean, the answer is Regal, Danielson,
you
and Mox.
guys. I want to be with you guys.
Yeah. I mean, what I said about Jericho. Yeah, but if Regal and Danielson
If
and
a
Mox
better learning tree comes along,
you go center of that tree. You say
You go in a
later
different
Jericho.
tree.
I'm going over here
Yeah.
because that's a better learning tree.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You said that learning tree instead.
Yeah.
Jorge D, since NXT is about wacky characters now, which wrestler from NXT do you think would be able to pull off an X-Pac versus 6 style ladder match? That's from our stream today. We had X-Pac versus 6 in a ladder match.
Yeah. So if what happened?
NXT is about wacky characters now. Which wrestler from NXT do you think would be able to pull off an X-Pac versus 6 style ladder match? So like 2 gimmicks of the same wrestler? Is that the idea?
I mean, Itchweed versus Jeff Hardy.
But that's not, I mean, it's an NXT wrestler. He's beat NXT.
Oh. Wendy Chu versus Mei Ying.
Good.
There you go. I think that's the only person I can think of. Let's see here. Wizard of Smoke. What's the bigger roster move? This is a good question. Losing Cody or signing Jeff Hardy?
I think it's signing Jeff Hardy.
I can't think of a reason why it wouldn't be. Cody really, by the end, didn't bring that much to it. Besides, look, a train wreck is not really something you want for your show, even though there is some appeal to it because people might watch and talk about it.
But at the same time, if train wreck happens, people might see that and be like, ugh, I'm not watching this again. Every wrestling fan knows who Jeff Hardy is.
Every wrestling fan loves Jeff Hardy.
And every wrestling fan loves Jeff Hardy.
They love him. They love him.
Love him.
No reason not to. He's
love
great.
Him. So Jeff Hardy's going to do a much better job of bringing in fans than Cody ever would at this point.
Yeah. Let's see here. Alex Foster, who should be the next NXT wrestler to get exposure on the main roster?
I want to say Carmelo, but I'm kind of wondering if they're going to keep him in NXT until he goes up there full time.
I hope that they, send him to the moon in NXT. I really do. I like him a lot better than Braun, but I can understand, I don't know, is he too much of a good wrestler for them to want to put it? I mean, that's kind of a legitimate thing. It's like, oh, he's a really good wrestler, but he doesn't have that gimmick, He's just, God forbid, a compelling character.
I know.
And I don't know if NXT wants that too much, but he's awesome.
Yeah. Rising Knight, who do you guys feel was truly the greatest cruiserweight, Rey Mysterio or Daniel Bryan? You got to add a couple names to that. You got to add Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Dynamite Kid, Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, I don't know. Man, I'd have to watch a lot more of those Best of the Super Friendos, Best of the Super Junior matches. Because, Jericho's probably, a consideration. Benoit maybe is a consideration. I think popularly it's probably Jushin Thunder Liger. I think he's kind of known as top cruiser guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, 100 years from now, who knows what they'll say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll answer some more of your questions. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time. Oh, no Smash Zone tomorrow night. We will do a UK watch along, but it's Mama Here's birthday, and I'm going to go have some pizza at her house. So, no Smash Zone tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.